numbers as well, and Mickey Grice is one of them, who's been working with the Eurosport team, of course. So here's Mickey saying, welcome to the start of the relay. So the Germans, the Russians, always have to do something special in this. So there's a frantic atmosphere in the stadium as everyone tries to prepare the skis, get the rifles ready. And it's so important you don't make any mistakes in the approach to the relay. So off goes Mickey on the track. This is the climb out of the stadium that they will do many times over the course of the championships. Today, though, the course pretty much lined from start to finish. He says, here we are at the church. The church on his left-hand side, this one of the steepest climbs out on the tracks. He says at this stage you're really just thinking about what happened in the last shoot, praying obviously that you'd gone clear, and then it's not far before you have to switch to thinking about the shoot you've just done to the one you're just about to do. And in the relay, of course, there are only 2 shoots. Says he's now past the halfway point out on the tracks, and this of course is also the high point of the course, so predominantly downhill from here, but there is still one major climb where we've seen so many races won and lost, and it's a fast descent from here, Mike.
It is. It allows good recovery there, so you can really work hard to the high point and get these 30 seconds recovery.
And look at the people on the left-hand side, perhaps not as many as they had for the 50K in the World Championships back in 2011, but it's pretty impressive for a biathlon World Championships, Mike. Mickey says this is a section of the course where you hope your technicians have done their job well, because if they have, the next uphill is very easy. You can almost glide over the top of the next one before you prepare for the final little descent, and then that last climb up Gratisbakken, which takes you round those trees on the right-hand side, round the teepee, which is absolutely packed with people today. Here's the main road up to Frognerseteren. 2 of the German ski team testing the skis. They stick together until they find a straight section. I'm not sure what they gained out of the first bit, but now they should separate and just see what happens. Here we go. Who's got the best glide? Always think the heaviest person goes furthest, Mike, but... Well, it's nice to see a smile on the Germans' face. They've saying this is the section where you have to decide where you're going to try and make your break if it comes down to a close race. On your last lap, everyone will be. Mickey saying that this is where the atmosphere really strikes you as you come into that cauldron created by the stadium, and that's where the lesser experienced athletes get affected by the pressure. He says so many of the big guys have done it so many times that it shouldn't be an issue. But if you're Norwegian, surely, Mike, they are going to suffer at this stage, because the noise yesterday was phenomenal. We've got another 5,000 people in the stadium from yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they can actually relax and perform on the day.
Very much. And there's the right-hander into the range, and you can back off. You're still gliding into this section with the lane of your choice. First time in, you have to stick to your number, but then it's an open range.
Mickey saying this is where you're hoping your pulse is under control. You know that it is all about staying calm. It's all about going into automatic rather than thinking about it too much. So thanks to Mickey Grice, nice tour around the loop. It is a big climb out of the stadium, a much tougher loop for the men today, over 2.5 kilometres each time than the women had yesterday. The good skiing teams should be able to pull a few seconds clear. Austria certainly one of the top seed teams, wearing bib number 5, which correlates to the success they've had in the relays this year. Mike, a couple of interesting ones. The French have been pretty solid, but haven't got a win in the relay so far. I know Martin Fourcade has sat out of a few of the relays. That might have determined the outcome. Norway have won 2, Russia have won 2. Are we going to see anyone else get on the podium?
There hasn't been a lot of succession from the Czech Republic team, and I think that takes pressure off, so possibly from them. But Svensson anchor leg, he'll be remembering back to Sochi, where it was so important. He got the lead, but he lost 54 seconds and dropped back down to 4th. It can't be anything but in his mind, because there's even more pressure here than there was there.
Well, I agree, but I think the Norwegians will be hoping that he isn't remembering Sochi, and I'm sure the team coaches will have had a chat to him last night and said, once again, is it going to affect your performance, or are you gaining confidence? Of course, Svensson getting a very good bronze medal in the pursuit earlier in the championships. Russia, France, Germany, the big competition for the hosts. Austria starting the race off with Sven Grosegger. I think it's a big, brave move from them. And so often the team's now putting their weaker skier on the first leg, because the first lap tends to be a little bit of cat and mouse, a little bit slower. The Americans can certainly medal today, but they have to do what the Norwegian women did yesterday and outshoot expectations. They've got to all be on the top of their game if they're going to be featuring in the top 5 come the very last leg. Norway wearing 1, Russia 2 in the middle of your screen, France 3 on the near side, and away they go. Maxim Svetkov for Russia, very quick off the mark. Uliana Bjorndalen for Norway on the left-hand side of your screen. Interesting choice of leg for Bjorndalen, Mike. I'm slightly surprised, because this season I've thought he's better when he's not in amongst the rest of the field trying to keep up with younger, faster men.
It is an interesting selection. I don't know. I think they've done the right thing. They have put him, he was the master of mass start for most of his career, for 22 years of World Cup starts. Then they put him on the anchor for 7-8 years because he could turn things around. And I think he's a safe bet to put first, and that's the way the coaching staff have viewed this.
Well, as we heard from Raphael Poirier yesterday, that the first leg you want someone who's very solid, particularly in the prone shoot. You do not want to lose ground like the French did yesterday. I know they medalled, but they lost the gold on the very first shoot yesterday.
They did indeed. In fact, Bjorndalen starting a year ago in Kontiolahti at the World Champs there, and handing over in first position, just half a second ahead of Simon Fourcade.
All the teams still together as they exit the stadium. Russia out in front with Svetkov. He's teamed up with Goranichev, Babikov, Shipulin. It's a strong-looking team. Babikov perhaps the only question mark, but all the teams have one leg or 2 legs where they have some concern. The Norwegians will be concerned about Tarjei Bo. He's not been on form here. Missed 4 in the sprint event. And Svensson, as you mentioned, will he be thinking about 2014 and the Sochi Olympics? Russia with Babikov 48th in the World Cup rankings. That doesn't inspire you with confidence. The French with Simon Fourcade on leg number 1. Now, I'm pretty sure that he's cracked on a number of relays over the last 2 seasons. Slightly surprised to see him getting the pressure leg of number 1. But there you go, he's there, and his brother takes the anchor leg. Can more than make up for any mistakes Simon makes. Germany, Doll's shooting hasn't been good, his skiing has been excellent. Schemp's shooting's been good, his ski speed's been down. So there's the concern for Germany. And the Austrians, well, once again, it's leg number 1. Grosegger, 51st in the sprint event, having hit 9 out of 10. You wouldn't have expected that. And of course, Julian Eberhardt, lightning quick, but his shooting record 72 and 64%.
The only big ray of sunshine I think the Austrians will be looking at with those very poor percentages from their leg number 3 from Julian is that the 3 spare rounds, and we saw that yesterday in the women's race, when you've got 3 spare rounds, somehow those who can't master 5 shots well relax a little more and often shoot better in the relay. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, you've got a cracking view of the city of Oslo behind them as they came over the top of the hill. All the teams still pretty much together. What do you make of the pace, Mike? And who's going to be hurting?
I think this is very interesting because, in all honesty, Svetkov, with the greatest of respect, he's only about the 25th fastest in the world in terms of ski speed, but the rest of the field are allowing Svetkov to dictate the pace. Nobody wanting to take it on yet. And I think they'll just be looking to stay reasonably calm till after the first shoot, and then the real pace will start. Bjorn Dahlen getting restless, realizing this is too slow. I'm surprised Eric Lesser. I thought Eric Lesser on paper would be the one setting all the pace here.
The German quartet, Mike. Eric Lesser obviously on the first leg. Benedikt Doll goes on the second. Pfeiffer, then Simon Schempp. They've obviously got confidence in Schempp, putting him on the ankle leg. He did a great job in Kontiolahti last year. We'll see whether he can do the same again. He is the highest ranked in terms of the World Cup standings. On paper, Mike, who'd you give it to? It was absolutely crystal clear yesterday that Germany were the strongest team, and they ended up down in the bronze medal position.
And that's where I love the relay, because it's about, I think as well, it's about the successes you have and haven't had here at this competition. And for me, that brings Russia into play. Although you could also argue they're under more pressure, but they're fresh, they haven't won medals yet, and they're desperate to win medals here. Norway we know about, but it is they're expected to win. They've had 2 victories in the relays this season already, and often that can create some failings within the race. You mentioned America. I think that's a strong team, but they're stand shooting. Each of the 4 athletes below 80% hit rate this season, and that's a huge factor in this race.
We've got a faller there. Is it team number 2? It's the Russians who've gone down, and they've been taken out by, is that the Swiss? I think it is, wearing 10. It's Jeremy Finello, and he will not have made any friends in Russia with that little move. That's a disaster for Russia. And it means that Svetkov now has got to rebuild his position. I guess at this stage, the word is don't panic. Don't try and make up that ground in the 500 metres before the shoot.
It's very hard for Svetkov now not to be tense, not to think, I was up in 3rd place, I'm now at the back, I'm going to be 17 seconds behind. I think it'll tighten him up.
And he's got to come all the way up to lane 2 to shoot, as we watch Bjorn Dahlen, who settles in lane 1. What sort of a finale is it going to be to his career? Of course, assuming that he does call it a day after this World Championships in Holmenkollen. Already there's a lot of talk about Pyeongchang.
Look at Svetkov, he's not even on the firing point yet. Some athletes have hit 3 targets.
Germany 3 out of 3, Bjorn Dahlen 3 out of 3. Germany could go clear first, they do, great shooting. Bulgaria with a chance of hitting 5. Bjorn Dahlen hits 5 in the prone, and the traditional start for the Norwegian team has not happened today. That is great news. It's just like we saw yesterday with the Norwegian team, and Synnøve Sulumdal shooting the perfect 5. Wasn't first out of the range, but she got Norway off to a good start, so the hosts will be happy. Estonia, astonishingly good start from them. Nice to see Belgium in there, Mike. A new team in the relay. Belgium, Mickey Roche has got 3 mates to come and compete with him, but he's on the first leg. And he wasn't a happy man last night. We had a fire alarm at 2:30 in our hotel last night. There was some sort of conspiracy theory that it was sporting espionage, trying to get the Germans and the Belgians and the who else? We've got the Czechs in there as well. And certainly, Mike, there were 1 or 2 ruffled feathers in the hotel lobby at 2:30 in the morning. And I know from my own experience that getting back to sleep after that wasn't easy.
It was not, and without a doubt, that disturbs, that breaks your night, and it broke all the athletes' night.
Nice flowing action of the 42-year-old Bjorn Dahlen out front, leading the way. So far, so good for Norway. One more shoot for this first leg. Bjorn Dahlen's shooting record this year, Mike, have you been impressed?
I have. He's over the years, it fluctuates, but always in the 80s. 82% prone, 83 stand. We have seen him up as high as 87 in both, and when he was winning 11 World Cups, one season, 12 World Cup races in one season, but it's still safe, and especially in the relay.
Norway, Germany, Estonia, Belgium, USA, the first 5 teams out of the range. Austria haven't done too much damage. Just looking for the Russians. They are 18 seconds down. Svetkov did not miss a target, so he did exactly what was required, and now he has to put the work in to try and get somewhere close to the leaders before the second shoot. Well, here come Russia after that little incident on the first lap. Svetkov certainly will have had his pulse pushed up, and guess what? Finello brave enough to ski right behind Svetkov. I think I would have found somewhere else on the tracks to be at that stage. Lesser taking over the duty as the race leader ahead of Uliana Bjorndalen. Estonia going really well. Zakna has had a good shoot. Mike, looking at the shooting, the top 10 teams all hitting the perfect 5 with 5. Finello of Switzerland did likewise. Svetkov hit 5 with 5. And any penalty loops? 1-2. Ukraine with Sergei Semenov, who stunned us with his performance in the sprint event, has missed 4 out of 8 targets, and he has done a penalty loop, and so have Lithuania. Not a good start for the Ukrainians, who are ranked number 8.
Do you know, that's the biggest surprise for me, I think, almost ever in a relay for someone as good as Semenov. Great statistics, always hits his targets, and he's got 3 spares, and yet he's done a penalty loop. And without a doubt, Ukraine were thinking they could medal on the best possible day. They're second last.
But Semenov's results, he went 3rd in the sprint, 8th in the pursuit, missed a couple of targets, 55th in the individual, missing 5. So I'm wondering whether it was just a flash of brilliance on the day of the sprint, a short, sharp peak, and now he's falling away.
Shooting, it's interesting. He was last year, he was the overall best in the 20 kilometre, and that was largely due to his shooting, but he speeded up his shooting this summer, and he said that has affected his timing, his relaxation on the rifle, and that's clearly the problem today.
Nice shot, I think. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think it was Eric Lesser's mum and dad in the crowd. And if you ever wondered what it's like to be the parent of one of the athletes competing here, that was a classic example, just to show the tension. Look at the ski speed. Brilliant skiing from Bjorndalen, using the slipstream as well, but getting good advantage as he makes the final climb up round the top of Gradisbakken and then back down into the stadium. Bjorndalen doing more than has been asked of him. What do you make of the Norwegian order, Mike? Tarjei Bo next, then Johannes Tinges and Svensson on 3 and 4.
I'm a little surprised. I thought they might put Johannes Tinges on the last leg. He showed his quality of shooting in the individual race, missing only 1. He's had 3 times 4th position here. He's your man on form, so I was thinking they might risk putting Johannes Tinges on the last leg for damage limitation. He is the fastest out of the team. But they've gone for the steady Svensson.
No damage done with Simon Fourcade as yet. The Frenchman missed 1, so he threw away 7 seconds, but you can see him tucked in behind Uliana Bjorndalen. Everyone's showing the great champion a lot of respect here. They will all know that he has 13 World Championship relay medals to his name. Good exchange of the pole. Was that the Lithuanian, I think, picking up the pole?
I think it was Jan Savitsky.
Savitsky, it is.
Kazakhstan, and well, the women did great yesterday, the Kazakhstan women.
Second shoot of 8. Lesser just holding on to the basket of Martin Fourcade to make sure that he doesn't run onto the back of the Frenchman's skis. Does more damage to your skis than the man in front. So Bjorndalen, lane 1 for the first shoot, lane 2 for the second shoot. That's not a bad thing. This is exactly where they zeroed before the race. Germany quick to strike with Lesser. First miss from Bjorndalen. Kazakhstan are clear at the moment. Lesser gets 5 with 5. Germany going into the lead. Another miss from Bjorndalen. 3 rounds, 2 targets remaining. Don't tell me he's going to be incurring penalty loops. No, 50% hit rate required. This is exactly the situation Mara Olsbu had yesterday, but she had much more pressure. 5 go down.
Simon Fourcade is struggling. 2 targets remaining, 2 bullets left. Having to really settle himself now.
Well, deja vu once again, Mike, for the French. This is the situation they found themselves in yesterday. Remember, they were over a minute and 5 off the pace of the leaders at the end of the first loop. It's not going to be quite as bad as that, but France are certainly going to be 40 seconds clear, and a little bit of panic there from Simon Fourcade. Let's have a look at the top positions. Germany, Canada, Estonia, Slovenia, Kazakhstan, USA, Italy. Unusual podiums, you might think, but so many of the teams that know they're not going to win put their best skiers first. So essentially, they have their best against the favourites' worst. And that is why unusual teams find themselves at the front. Great shooting from Lesser. He's obviously got a bundle of supporters here. It is a strong German team, Mike. What sort of weight on their shoulders? What sort of weight of expectation, having taken the title in Finland last year?
I think this is the big event. They know that they can get the gold. It's the easiest event for them to get the gold. When you look at the quartet with Lesser, Dahl skiing so fast, always about the top 4 fastest in any of the races this season practically. And Arndt Pfeiffer has been steady, very strong in the stand position. And Schempp, well, his prone lets him down recently, but his standing is great.
Lesser now looking to go into overdrive, pulling clear of the Canadians. Christian Gau on the first leg for Canada, with Nathan Smith perhaps their best. I think he has been their best this season. Nathan Smith lined up for the second leg. Bjorn Dahlen's now starting to push the pace. He doesn't want Germany to get more than a couple of metres clear at the end of this first leg. The top of the Holmenkollen jump in the background. And it's a very compact stadium, isn't it, Mike? They never really go more than 500 metres away from the centre of the stadium, just winding their way around the local hills. But it's incredibly tough.
This first section, from the firing point to this high point, it's a real steep climb, a rise of 57 metres, and nothing but climbing in this 1.4 kilometres. But then you get all this recovery time, so the second part of the course, much easier. I'm so impressed with Bjorn Dahlen. This is as fast as he skied all season now.
Bjorn Dahlen coming out of the range 17.2 behind, so he's done great damage on the first climb. There's no doubt that this season he's in better shape than he has been for 4-5 years. He got that win in Östersund at the beginning of the season. That really must have been a massive boost for him. And just keeping an eye on the French as well, Mike. Remember France with Simon Foucault having a few issues. They were 34 behind coming out of the range. They're now 30.9 behind Germany. That's a handy little advantage for Eric Lesser to have built on leg number 1.
It's still so very, very close. Austria, a surprise for me. We knew that Grosiger wasn't the strongest, but he's way down in 17th position and using 3 spare rounds. A lot of work to do for the Austrian team.
So Lesser will be handing over to Benedikt Dull, 25-year-old, who's 11th in the World Cup ranking. So it's been a good season from Dull. He's super quick. A couple of times he's recorded top 3 fastest course times here in the championships, but the results don't reflect that. 33rd in the sprint, 39 in the pursuit. Not a bad 13th in the individual, but he's still missed 3.
Amazing. I'm just thinking as Bjorn Dahlen's going round in probably his last ever relay for Norway, his track record at World Champs has been excellent. What, 5 first, 5 golds at World Championships, 6 times second and 2 times third. He's missed a few, and of course there's Olympics within that 22-year journey as well. 13
World Championship medals. Norway have won 13 medals in the last 14 relays. That's the measure of their success. They got Bjorn Dahlen, as you say, with 5 gold. If he wins today, he will join Frank Luck and Tikhonov, who both have 6 relay golds each. So that would be another record, a joint record maybe, but another one that Bjorn Dahlen writes up.
Eric Lesser, no spare rounds. The same with the Canadian Scott Gau. In fact, mentioning Scott Gau, today for the first time in the relay, we've got 3 sets of brothers. Canadians have, the Norwegians have.
Well, good start from the Americans, Mike. Lowell Bailey's had a very good leg indeed. We did say the Americans can medal, but all 4 of them need to produce their best performance. And Bailey has started brilliantly. 1 spare round, that will do nicely. 13 seconds behind coming out of the range. I think that margin will be cut, not massively, but it will certainly be cut down to around 7 or 8 when he comes in. Bailey on the left of your screen, the Czech Republic, a team that are only ranked 15th, but they missed one of the relays. And Křižmar has had a good leg. Sukup is second. On his best form. Sukup is a worthy relay member, Mike, but I know you were a little concerned to see him taking leg 2.
I was. He's been shooting well at the championships. We know he's lost his ski pace, but they're hoping that his vast experience will come through today to give him a helping hand. What about Benedikt Dahl, Patrick? We know he skis fast. He hasn't been in this situation before. Will he go too fast? That's my concern.
Well, he's 25. He's had plenty of experience on the World Cup Tour. Hopefully, he has had enough. Norway exchange. Tarjei Bo is another man who's not been showing his best form here in Norway. He needs to put it right today. Generally, he's a very reliable relay member. Team 12, the Bulgarians. Good leg from Krasimir Anev. He's not that far off the pace. He'll be delighted with that. Italy down in 13, France 14, 32 seconds behind. So Simon Forcada, after those mistakes in the shooting range, unable to make a significant gain on the race leaders. And that makes Simon Dessier's job that little bit harder. And a decision to make for Dessier, Mike. Does he go hard, trying to close the gap on the first lap, or does he just race his own race, which is virtually impossible in this situation?
I think team orders will be close the gap down, and his racing instinct, team 14th position at the moment, he will want to move up the ranking. And therefore, as with Germany, it can put you overstressed coming in for your first shoot.
So what tactics will Benedikt Dahl apply? We were surprised to see the Germans wolfing down 3 courses of lunch at what? They didn't finish until after 1:30, less than 2 hours before the race start. Now, unless things have changed, Mike, from when we were racing, it used to be 3 hours, a big meal 3 hours before, and then maybe a little nibble of something an hour before you go.
It's an interesting one. I mean, you carry all your reserve from the evening meal before. Yes, well, it's lunchtime, it's afternoon now, but I think it's, for me, it's very surprising to see, still sitting around a table 2.5 hours to race start time. Unusual, but very relaxed, and maybe that's why Germany are up there at the moment, although Tarjei Bo is on fire.
Well, that is some injection of speed from Tarjei Bo. That reminds me of Paavo Kurunen, who we saw out on the tracks yesterday, a former world champion, looking in tremendous shape out on the Holmenkollen tracks yesterday. Nice to see that ex-champions, ex-biathletes keep their form, keep their fitness. It's not always the case, but a lot of them around. Incidentally, Marit Bjørgen's been skiing around the tracks. She hasn't raced yet, she hasn't done any hard training yet, but the word is she will be back in action in April.
I find this pace amazing, Patrick. From 10 seconds behind Germany on the handover, already 2.5 minutes later, Tarjei Bo's 3 seconds, sorry, ahead. That's an incredible turnaround of pace.
Yeah, very impressive when you consider what Dahl has managed. It could be an issue. Well, I was thinking it could be an issue with the skis, Mike, but generally the ski advantage comes on the second half of this course once you've reached the high point.
It does, and we saw Bjørn Dahlen's skis gliding beautifully well, so we'd assume that Tarjei Bo's skis are going to do the same.
Well, he's got a lot of disappointment to make up for today. It's not been going well for Tarjei, 54th in the sprint, so that pretty much took him out of the pursuit as well. And then 22nd in the individual, missing a total of 3 targets. And as we saw in the individual, you needed to hit 19 or 20, which has been the case over the last 10 World Championships.
This is an amazing performance from Tarjei, and you mentioned his results. Last year he had 4 bronze and 1 silver at the World Champs, so he's putting everything, all his wrongs, right at the moment.
So Boet is leading the way. Germany still in second with Benedikt Dahl. We're trying to pick up on some of the other teams. The Czechs have yet to make a mistake, a serious mistake. Jaroslav Sukup on this leg, and he's sticking with that group. This man is on a mission. This is an unbelievable pace that Tarjei Bo is taking. Remember, he's got another 700 metres to go before the range, and then he's got another 5 kilometres to ski. So I wonder how wise this is. But now the rivals start to come back, and the Canadians are looking good. Nathan Smith, he's a tremendous performer, Nathan Smith. He has a World Cup win to his name, and it's just a shame that what would happen if we combined Canada and USA? Would we then have we would have a tremendous team.
We would have a fantastic North American team. I know they're both very strong teams, and I honestly think both of those teams, the meetings they had last night prior to this race, would have suggested on our best day we can medal. So I think both of them can medal, but it has to be their best day.
Yeah, well, that combination isn't going to happen. It's about as likely as the Brits joining the Norwegians. Incidentally, news on the British team, they're not here, and it's been a long, long time since we didn't have a British team in the relay.
It's never, Patrick, 50 years since this relay was introduced to the World Championships, and the Brits have always been there.
Third shoot, the first on the second leg. Tarjei Bo, just wondering what the tactics were. Obviously went hard. The fact that the rest caught up, meaning that he eased up, perhaps, or did he make the others go out of their comfort zone before the shoot? Possibly that's the case.
I think that's the case. Was that a clever racing? I'm not sure. You don't normally put in such a surge of pace, but I do get it that he's calming down before the shoot.
Nathan Smith for Canada on lane 1. Tarjei Bo of Norway, lane 2. Benedict Dahl of Germany, lane 3. First to strike is Nathan Smith. Norway working left to right. The Czech Republic with Jaroslav Sukup going right to left. 3 out of 3 for Sukup. Good solid shooting from him. Slovakia are the first to clear. That's a really good performance from them. My goodness. Thomas Hasilla finds himself in uncharted waters. Germany away, USA away at last.
Garanashev on paper, the best prone shoot at 93%, hasn't needed a spare round.
No surprise there. Garanashev, a good man to have on the second leg, isn't he, Mike? He can make up for lost ground. And just to let you know, the Russians, as you saw, took a fall on the very first lap. They finished the first leg 25 seconds down. They now have that margin down to 18.5. They're getting slowly closer and closer to the race leaders. Ada of Austria is still there, less than 20 seconds behind at this stage. And Ada, with his shooting in the stand position, could make up 15 on one shoot alone.
Oh, he's so fast, and he said he changed his strategy for his medal performance in the individual. He said he backed off, took more time, but he's back to his fast, normal self.
Well, there you see the shooting scores. Russia yet to miss a target. France have missed 4 already, find themselves 28.4 seconds behind. If they keep that margin to the last leg, they still have a very, very good chance of winning. Martin Fourcade can certainly make up that margin. Well, it looks as though it's going to develop into a tremendous run. Here's Benedict Dahl. You could pick him out on a night where the floodlights had gone out, simply because his technique looks so ragged. And it's beyond me, Mike, how he manages to ski so fast.
He's such a strong athlete. Wears his rifle really high up on his shoulders. I know he's a tall athlete, but he wears his rifle very high.
Because every coach you speak to will tell you that there are a number of things involved in skiing fast. One is cardiovascular development, the other is strength, the other is your mind, and the fourth, but perhaps most important, is efficiency, and he doesn't seem to have it.
It's his upper body, isn't it? Slight movement there, but I think for the first time this season we're seeing him setting a time which isn't in the top 3 on the tracks.
Well, maybe he's saved something for the last lap. They've got the second shoot to come. Norway still leading, the host nation, with Tarjei Bo, Johannes Tingis, the younger brother, still to come. Well, the fans certainly getting into this one, and most of them have come up on the tram from the city centre. They've been packed since early on this morning. Great atmosphere around the stadium. Not the best of days. It's a shame that the sun isn't out like it was yesterday. But the best atmosphere, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, the best atmosphere is in the woods at night. The tents are phenomenal all over the place. And campfires, there's singing, there's music, there's just the best atmosphere. And of course, Mike, they've come from all over Norway to enjoy this, and I thought, my goodness, how do you get all that kit down here? But actually, you can rent out your tent, your sleeping bag, your bed. It's all laid on for you, and it's party time.
It really was. Last night out there, till 8:30 in the evening, and it's the spirit. And I think this is what makes Norway great when you're here for major championships, is everybody understands the sport. It's a social gathering. They have a great time, as you say, living out in the woods. We don't see that at many or any other world championships. They really get involved with the great outdoors and respect all the athletes in this field today.
Nathan Smith again putting pressure on Tarjei Bo. Nice little footwork from Jaroslav Sukup, who's going very, very well. Sukup, perhaps his best performance of the season, and what a moment to produce it. Now, one thing we do need at these championships, Mike, is not necessarily one of the minor nations, but we need a new nation on the podium. We've had 8 races, 24 medals, and only 5 nations sharing the medals. France have taken the bulk of them. Norway have had their share. Germany have been there as well, thanks to Laura Dalmar and the relay teams. And of course, Ukraine and Italy. So that's only 5 nations who've stood on the podium. This race, to better yesterday's, needs one of the minor teams in the top 3.
Well, and what's impressing me so much is to see Jaroslav Sukup there at the front of the field. He's had a really poor season, doesn't know what's gone wrong, but now he's back when it matters most for his country.
Now, a question regarding Tarjei Bo, absolutely ballistic on the first lap. Is he slowing down because he went too hard early on, or is he slowing down because he wants to make sure of the standing shoot?
I think they've had a good chat last night on how to deal with this range and the pressure, and it does seem like Tarjei is going quite hard after the range and really backing off into the shoot. I thought his first lap pace was horrendous, and he will suffer for that. Maybe there's a little bit of that as well.
Well, it'll be interesting if the 3 leaders all come out of the range together. Smith on lane 1 for the second time of asking. Well done to Canada at this stage. If they lead at halfway, they will consider that a job well done. Smith first to strike. Norway throw their first one wide with Tarjei Bo. Slovakia working from left to right. The Czech Republic with Sukup, missed number 3. Germany 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4. Benedikt Doll on fire at the moment. He delays for 5 and it costs him. The rhythm is broken. Slovakia away, Canada away, Norway, Austria are away, and Germany finally get that last one down. The Russians and the Austrians are not out of this one yet. Once again, more teams in it than we would have expected at the halfway stage.
There's Tarjei Bo now getting the initiative. I thought he might be tired on this lap, but he's absolutely setting a fine pace and a fast pace out front. Garanishev shot well, hesitated for his 4th shot.
Big teams missing, Mike, from that leading group, the French, and here they are. Big moment for Simon Dessieux.
Well, Garanishev has said he suffered on his 4th shot. He's taken 3 spares to miss his last shot.
France, 2 rounds, 2 targets. Is this the end of Martin Fourcade's gold rush? 4 golds, 4 races, looking to make it 6 out of 6.
The tension in his face, but he's settled. He did well to get that last shot.
He certainly did. That could be the lifeline that the French need. The Swiss clear the 5. Good shooting from Serenise Wiesner, who'll hand over to Benny Vega in around 5 minutes' time. Slovakia, Norway, Canada, Austria, the leading 4 teams at the moment. Of those you expect to be there at the end of this relay, Norway, Austria, Germany certainly there. And maybe this is the opportunity for one of the minor nations to come through and take a medal. Will it be Canada? Mike, Scott Gow, Brendan Green. Brendan Green's been on good form over the last 2 years.
Both Scott Gow, his younger brother, taking the first leg. He was, I thought, Canada's only weak leg. The remaining 3 are very strong, and this could be history today for Canada.
Absolutely packed stadium here in Holmenkollen, and once again enjoying what looks like a little bit of Norwegian success, but so much can change in the closing stages of the relay. Here comes Benedikt Doll. He winds it up ragged as he works his way up this big steep climb. Sukup is still there, I think looking a bit fatigued now, but it's been a good leg, no doubt about that, from Jaroslav. Here goes Tarjei Bo around the top of the hill.
I'll tell you what, he's digging so deep, Patrick. He pushed hard the first lap. We know he's suffering for that now, but he's still keeping his momentum.
And then he will hand over to his younger brother, Mike. It'd be interesting to have a mic on the exchange. I'm sure if he's got any breath left, he will say something to Johannes Tingis to give him the encouragement he needs. But Johannes Tingis has to, this is a tough situation for him, isn't it? He would love to give Svensson a 30-second lead, but it's looking very like the Olympics from 2014.
It certainly is. Great to see Benedict Dahl now lifting his pace, really closing the gap on Tarjei Bø.
Thomas Sasilla going well, taking the Slovakian team through in 6th position. Sweden down in 7th. The Swedish women were doing well at the halfway stage yesterday. And it's a familiar scenario, isn't it, Mike? Those teams that don't have 4 world-class biathletes tend to put their best 2 first. And so they're in the race for much longer. One of the advantages of that is that their top skiers get this experience of racing where the most tension is.
It's a great lesson and great learning process. And often these, I keep saying it, but the spare rounds buy you a second chance, a first, second and third chance to get the targets down, in a sense taking the pressure off. And for me, that's quite amazing how Garanishev hit his first 4 targets, and then with his 3 spare shots, didn't manage to get the last one. It was quite amazing, and Russia down 1 minute behind.
Well, just having a look at teams who haven't featured. Ukraine are down in 19th. They've missed 8 targets already. Lithuania out of the running, 3 minutes behind, 3:42 behind. The Polish team are struggling down in 23rd position. The Russians have done a penalty loop with Garanichev. Big surprise there. They're now 57 seconds behind. And the French team, Mike, just looking to see how they're getting on at the approach to the second exchange. They're down in 15th, 1:03 behind. Well, they were 1 minute and 5 behind yesterday, but that was after 1 leg, not after 2.
That is it. Look at Benedict Dahl. He's pulled back now 11 seconds from the range, and maybe he was saving himself on lap 1 and lap 2 for this punch on lap 3.
One short, sharp climb to come once they enter the stadium area. There is a nervous-looking man. Lots of fun interviews with the Norwegian team. I think they've been trying to keep it nice and light, Mike, but there's no doubt they're nervous. 4 World Championship titles on the trot, and then Germany stole it away a year ago in Finland. Can they get it back? Can they get it back at the one venue that they would love to win gold?
I think Johannes Tingis for leg 3, he will lift himself. No matter what the pain, he will push hard. Tarjei Bø, we saw him go so fast early on. He struggled on this last lap, but it's still good. They're in the race.
So it's going to be Johannes Tingis Bø against Germany's Arndt Pfeiffer. An interesting matchup. I think Johannes Tingis just a little bit quicker. And here goes Benedict Dahl trying to squeeze Tarjei Bø. He's going to have to go the long way round. He mistimed that charge. Nathan Smith of Canada. What a fabulous run from him. He's done Canada proud today. 3rd position at the moment, backing up the good work from Christian Gau on the first leg. And it's Scott Gau who goes 3rd for Canada, trying to keep them in the medal positions. That is going to be one almighty task.
Isn't that brilliant, though? Canada, bronze medal position at half distance, and still 2 strong legs left.
It can count for nothing. Let's hope it does. Little mistake there from Dahl. Just drifting a little bit too far to the left, but safely into the exchange area. And away we go on leg number 3. Germany, Norway, Canada in the medal positions at the moment, and just behind them Austria and the Czech Republic going well. Now the Czechs are a team that we cannot ignore. They've got to this stage pretty much unscathed. They've got Andrej Moravec, who's outstanding, Mike, and then Mickey Schlesinger, really the senior member of the team. And the Czechs actually the oldest team in the field, an average age of just over 30 and a half. They just older than Norwegians, who despite having a 42-year-old in the team still have an average age slightly younger than the Czechs.
Quite amazing. Well, the Czech Republic, you mentioned they've had so many disappointments in terms of health as well as performances at these championships. Moravec didn't even take part in the first race, but he's racing today and slowly but surely getting his feeling back. Stomach upset, had a cold as well, so they've had a number of negatives, but it's looking so positive for the Czech Republic today.
Russia into the exchange. Here come the Americans as well, who started well with Lowell Bailey. Leif Nordgren, I think he must have had a few issues. The Americans, they've still only missed 3 targets, so the shooting's not been too bad. Let's have a look at the shooting scores on the right-hand side. Slovakia top the list with only 1, and they're equal with Estonia, but the Estonians a minute 10 off the pace of the race leaders, Norway. Good final charge from Benedict Dole. Intelligent skiing from Tarjei Bo, holding that inside line up the top of the final climb. He's been up it enough to know exactly where you need to be at what time. That could be crucial information for the final leg. I
wonder what the team orders have been within that last 18 minutes when Brother Bo was racing, what the coaches have been saying to Johannes. I would imagine they're keen for him to hold back a little on the first lap and then begin to really get his amazing speed and power fully engaged. He does look settled. He's not going over his limit, over his comfort zone at the moment. Team being lapped already. I think that's Latvia.
Well, expecting at least 5 or 6 of the 25 teams to be lapped today. And if you're wondering what happens, they can run all the way until the final shoot, and then they get pulled out, so they don't get involved in the finish lap.
And we did touch on the British team before an ad break earlier, and it's first time in 50 years no British team, which I think is really, really very sad for British biathlon. And that's because there's only 2 current competing athletes qualified to race at this level. Jackson is still qualified, but retirement, and running the team now at the IBU Cup down in Italy.
Through the fastest section of the course, as we have a slightly unusual view of the range. 27,000 fans packed into the stadium. They're enjoying this one. Always nice for the host nation to do well. They don't need to win, but to keep the crowd entertained, they need to do well. But actually, having said that, Mike, this is one venue where the crowd enjoy anyone's success, and were Slovakia or Slovenia to come through, they would give them as much of a cheer as they give the Norwegians.
Very much so, and I'm so impressed with Scott Gow right now. This is in a new league for the Canadians, but of course he was 18th in the individual, missing only 2 targets.
That was a really fast corner, beautifully taken by Johannes Tingesbo out front. Just staying low, keeping the ankles and the knees bent, the hands forward, centre of gravity as low as possible, but at the same time, that really nimble, shifty footwork. And Mike, just describe these skis. A lot of our viewers will have done alpine skiing. These skis weigh virtually less than your training shoe.
They really do. They're very light skis. They're only 4 centimetres wide, so no, very limited balance. And look, you can see there, each time that Moravec is planting it, the heel is free. So at 65, 70 kilometers an hour, you've got no lockdown system onto your skis. It's just the foot pressure that's anchoring you on those tight corners.
Well, that's not strictly true, because you've got a ridge, a groove built into the sole of the shoe.
But in relation to
a ridge on the binding.
But in relation to an alpine boot,
no
where
heel binding.
You're totally locked down.
Absolutely.
So you haven't quite got that ability round the corner.
And would you agree that the biggest development over the years is the carbon sole of the boot?
I think it is, the rigid boot and the lightweight boot.
The Czech Republic and Austria are ready to pounce should any of the leading teams make mistakes. And this is where the pressure starts to build. We're through the halfway stage, but only half the shooting has been completed. First shoot in the 3rd leg coming up now in the prone position. No real change to the wind in the range. The flag's up above the stands blowing a little bit harder, but I think the condition's still pretty good.
At 10 past 4 local time, I would say the light is beginning to fade.
Little breeze from coming over the top of their left shoulder. Who will strike first? Five out of 5 would be useful for Canada and Norway now, with Germany having missed. No mistake for Johannes Tingis. Canada are clear, and the 7-8 seconds taken for Arndt Pfeiffer. Will he get it down at the first time of asking? Well, that's slow drills, but it goes down, and that is what matters. The Czech Republic could stay in fourth, ahead of Austria, who've missed 2 already.
Oh, well done, Moravec. 5 out of 5. This is Austria's weak leg, with all respect. Doesn't shoot as well.
Well, he's cleared all 5. That's what matters with Eberhardt. Now we're going to see how quick he can ski. And generally, he has been the fastest skier on the tour, and that includes Martin Fourcade so far this season. Not quite on as good a form as we saw maybe a month ago. Moravec in 4 for the Czech Republic. Big moment building for the Czechs, who were really disappointed with their mixed relay. Vitkova had a nightmare there. The women's relay didn't really develop the way they wanted either, Mike, and they had real potential to win that one.
They certainly did. Babikov, the Russian, is the best shooter in the Russian team, but he's had to push so hard there. He struggled in his first 2 shots.
France, a long way adrift of the leaders. This is Quentin Fillon-Maillet, the 23-year-old from Saint-Laurent. He's had a good championships, 3 results in the top 20. Away go the United States. Switzerland complete. Russia still waiting. Can you believe Russia are still waiting for their first medal, let alone their first gold? That's astonishing.
Well, no matter how good Shipulin is today, and Babikov normally brilliant on the shooting aspect, but they have a huge margin to pull back now.
Yeah, over a minute behind the Russians. Norway, Canada and Germany still the 3 leading teams. Here is one focus man, Johannes Tingesbo, the youngster in the Norwegian team. Talented, precocious, some would say brilliant. The volume of the crowd getting louder and louder and louder as each lap goes by. Arndt Pfeiffer has no option now but to try and close down on the 2 men in front of them. Does he do it before the standing shoot? Does he do it after the standing shoot? He may not get a choice or a chance after the shoot, Mike, so maybe the final climb before they come into the range is where he needs to take the risk. But that's what the relay's all about, isn't it? Once you drop behind, you have to start taking risks.
Unfortunately, you have to go outside your comfort zone, your normal pace that you would be willing to accept, and I think that's what Arndt Pfeiffer's doing now. He knows he has to close this gap, but then Johannes Tingesbo is thinking, right, I need to try and keep Germany out of it. So a real battle on the tracks.
Now, we always talk about the psychological preparation for a race like this, but what do you think Brendan Green, who takes the last leg for Canada, was thinking at midnight last night? I assume he hadn't got to sleep by that stage.
Well, he must have been thinking, the team brief would have said, listen, you are running the best you've ever run for the 4 lads. You might be in the situation where you can win a medal, and he would have gone through that scenario.
Norway ahead of Canada. No one would have written this script, and the way it's panning out, the fans are having just as good an experience as they had yesterday, and there were some beaming faces around the stadium yesterday, not just because the host nation won, but because they'd experienced one of the best races that we've seen in biathlon for many, many years. Is it going to turn out the same way this afternoon?
The other part of the script, Patrick, which is totally off the predicted, is look at France. They're 1 minute 22 behind in 11th position. Russia 12th, 1 minute 23 behind. Not out of it entirely, but it's a long journey back up to the medals.
Yeah, they've got to start making an impression. They can't afford any more misses, and they've got to get themselves within a realistic distance of the leaders.
Scott Gow makes this look like a little Sunday afternoon ski session. He is just looking so composed, so with it, and those skis are gliding beautifully well.
Well, that could be part of the key for the Canadian team. They were down here very early, like all the technicians, testing, preparing, experimenting, just finding out what goes well on the day. Slightly easier today, Mike, because the conditions haven't really changed. The only thing that's changed, as you mentioned, is the light is getting a little bit dimmer, which makes the shooting harder. But temperature hasn't changed, snow conditions haven't changed.
Not at all. I was just wondering as we were talking there, Johannes Tingesbo, I think he's a little suppressed, a little flat. He his 3 times 4 position. He's given so much effort, but not landed on the podium yet.
Well, that's one possibility. The other is that he's just taking it easy to make sure of the shoot. being fairly confident that he can outski Scott Gow on the last lap. He could be thinking along those lines. We're not to know.
Without a doubt, his mindset, his impulsiveness is harnessed in. We see him just charging. He's in control, and he's much slower on his rifle today. It's Johannes Tingis at the front. Pfeiffer's done well. He's pulled back 3 seconds now from the range. It's not much, but at least it's a positive.
This standing shoot absolutely crucial for all three of the leading teams. Johannes Tingesbo has a 79% hit rate in the standing position. Arndt Pfeiffer has 85. That will give the German team some confidence.
And Scott Gow's best position this season prior to these championships was a 34th. That was back home in Canmore.
Well, he's got a 77% hit rate, so don't be surprised if Germany come in last and go out first. 7-8 seconds for every missed shot. Johannes Tingis is away. He's on a roll. Sensational. He's done what Tyrrell Eckhoff did in the women's relay yesterday. Cleared 5, but the difference is he's done it even faster, and he's put the pressure on Canada and Germany. A miss for Germany, 2 misses for Canada. This could be crucial because the Czech Republic and Austria are coming fast. 3 misses for Canada now. Germany clear in the silver medal position at the moment. 1 lap and then 1 leg still to go. Canada finally get all 5 down, and the saving grace for the Canadians is that Austria have missed 3 so far, and the Czech Republic are starting to feel the pressure. Is this the opportunity that France and Russia need to get back into the medal chase?
Moravec just that little bit race rusty. His timing is out, but Austria on the penalty loop.
Yeah, no surprise to see Julian Eberhardt doing a penalty. The Czech Republic could be on it as well. Moravec absolutely crumbling under the situation. It's bad news for him. It's bad news, of course, for the rest of the team, but it's great news for Canada, who are 24 seconds behind the leaders. They're certainly 25 seconds clear of 4th place. It might be even more than that.
Well, the big names, Russia here, France in now as well.
Russia with Anton Babikov, 24-year-old. He's got a 96% hit rate in the stand, and he keeps that clean. Look at that. That is how to do it. Lots of pressure. USA, Switzerland, Bulgaria. Bulgaria still in the running. Great performance by them. We've hardly seen them at all. They're ranked 12th. And Vladimir Ilyev's going to be handing over to Mikhail Kletcherov.
Well, there's the hand feeding of the spare round, losing time there, unfortunately, and that is the issue with the bolt for Fillon Maillet.
And it looks, Mike, as though Fourcade's run of gold medals is coming to an end, but he can still get a 5th one in the mass start tomorrow.
Remember what Oleana Bjørndalen did at the Olympics in '98. He pulled back 1 minute 50 to take silver.
Brilliant shooting from Johannes Tingis. Norway lead. Johannes Tingesbo now starts to dig deep. This is the sort of performance we didn't see on the first leg, but how much time can he gain over Arndt Pfeiffer? He came out of the range 16.8 ahead of Pfeiffer. Germany have missed 4 targets. Norway have missed 4 targets so far. Interesting, Mike, in that Germany outshot Norway by 3 targets in the last World Championships, and that was what gave them the 15-second advantage at the end of the day.
Well, but the Norwegian team, I think, maybe have dropped off on form a little. Johannes, it's still sharp, but not as sharp as we saw him some 3 weeks ago.
Remember, he came out of the range 16 ahead. I think he saved quite a lot for this last lap. He's going to have gained 10 seconds at least on Arndt Pfeiffer.
Or has Arndt put so much out to haul the time back? He's certainly not looking as sharp this time up this climb.
Yeah, it's possible.
And there's Scott Gow hauling Pfeiffer back in. Yeah. Great news for the Canadians.
Gow has only lost 9 seconds to Johannes Tingesbo. The bronze medal looking more and more likely. Good focus from Johannes Tingis. He's got a very fast section to negotiate now. He drops down and then has that fast step turn to the right-hand side. And then up the final climb where he can gain another 5 seconds if he's got anything left to give. Here we go. building the speed as he comes under the road, down towards the back of Gratisbakken. 40, 50, 55 kilometers an hour, negotiated without any problem whatsoever. 6.8 kilometers of his 7.5 kilometer leg completed. 700 meters when he goes past the timing wand. 52.15. I think he could be nearly 30 seconds clear, Mike. He has put in a tremendous lap so far.
What an advantage for Svensson. Well, it is going to be around 30 seconds, I'm convinced of that. And maybe Johannes is going to even charge a little more to the handover.
And I don't want to make Norwegian fans nervous, but which championship race does this scenario remind you of?
Mine goes immediately to the last Olympics.
2014, Sochi, Svensson with a very comfortable lead at the start. He came into the standing chute with really an uncontested lead, and he threw it away. Norway on that occasion dropping from first down to fourth.
I think this must be the biggest pressure moment of Svensson's career, and he's had a fantastic career, many Olympics, many World Championships, but right now this moment has to be the most important.
Well, we've been fairly critical of athletes who've come up with negative comments before the race, like I'm racing for second, assuming that Fourcade's going to beat me, or it's windy, or it's wet, or the conditions don't suit me. There was absolutely no negativity in the Norwegian team whatsoever, and Svensson was very vocal in saying, we will stop the French, we will stop Fourcade's run of gold today.
Well, right now it couldn't have gone better. They've got the equal best shooting score, only 4 spare rounds used the Norwegian team so far.
Well, let's just pick up on some of the other teams while we've got a moment. Norway, Germany, Canada, you know about. Austria, Czech Republic in 4 and 5. Bulgaria 7. Sweden up in 8th position. They're only 1:38 behind the leaders. Ahead of Russia, who are in 9. And Switzerland just behind the Russians, still in 10th. And Bormolini of Italy is in 11th position at the moment. But this is where all 27,000 eyes are at the moment. In fact, 54,000 eyes, 27,000 pairs of eyes in the stadium, watching as Emil Hegler Svensson sets off on perhaps the most important 7.5 kilometers of his career. How much of a lead will he have? Has Johannes Tingis taken it up to that magic 30-second level?
It's unusual. That's old biathlon. From somewhat 15, 20 years ago, we'd see margins like this, and it is. It's nearly 30 seconds. That's a great performance from Johannes Tingis.
29.4, Canada at 34. Not only are they thinking of the bronze medal, they're thinking of the silver medal. Could Canada beat Germany? That would be an astonishing story here. But here are two teams who will pounce if any of the leaders crack under the pressure. Austria have a fantastic final leg with Dominik Landertinger, the silver medalist from the individual, and the Czech Republic aren't out of it yet.
You've got to feel a little, I certainly do, for Eberhard. He's such a fast skier, the fastest on the tracks, but he's been round that penalty loop using 3 spare rounds, but still in 4th position.
Well, I know we've got one viewer, Susan, who watches just about every winter sport going. I hope you're watching this afternoon, Susan, because I know you have an interest in the Canadian team. There they are in 3rd place, 34 seconds off the lead, but the figure you want to look at is the margin they've got. They've got 34-second lead over Austria and the Czech Republic. Can they use it? It's going to be an almighty test for Brendan Green, certainly the biggest of his career so far. And this is a situation, Mike, where you want an athlete who's been in this situation time and time again. Brendan Green is not that athlete.
He's not, but his mind, we talked about what he'd be thinking last night, and I'm quite sure he will have put his mindset to dealing with this kind of situation.
Well, there you have the top 10. 3rd exchange, 1 leg to go, 2 shoots remaining, 1 in the prone, 1 in the stand. And it's the host nation trying to make it 2 golds in 2 days. This would be their 3rd gold of the championships. It would be Uliana Bjorndal's 6th gold. 6th gold. He would equal Frank Luck and, of course, Tikhonov of Russia, who have both got 6 relay golds. What does Svensson do? Does he go hard like Johannes Tingis? Does he really attack it? Does he take the bold approach? or does he just take it easy to make sure he's got something left for the final lap, should it come to a sprint?
I think he'll be aware that he runs about, his ski speed is roughly the same as Germany's anchor leg, Simon Schempp. Here he is. And I think that Svensson will just be trying to keep within himself over this first 2.5 kilometres. Be comfortable into that first shoot is vital to get a good first shoot, and then he can open up his pace. Well, Schempp has pulled back 3 seconds, nearly 3 seconds.
Brendan Green pulling back a little bit as well, and pretty much keeping pace with Simon Schempp. A few question marks over Simon Schempp's fitness, Mike, his form. We've not really seen it in the individual races. What's he had, an 8th, an 18th? Dropped from 8th to 18th in the pursuit. That was a surprise, missed 4, and then 16th in the individual, missing 2. So he certainly has not done what we were expecting. When we saw him in Hochfilzen and Pachuca, he was sensational.
He was, and on his interview a couple of days ago, it was highlighted that his prone shooting, his lying down shooting, is less effective than it has been, and that's in his mind. A lap team there. I think that was Japan.
Well, it certainly looked like the Japanese colours, number 23. It is 23. Japan with Kobayashi. And, well, he's showing Svensson a thing or two. Svensson won't be too happy with that.
This will really irritate Svensson. Japanese athlete on his last leg, Svensson on his first. You would expect fresher legs from Svensson.
Well, it's the only airtime that Kobayashi is going to get all season, but what he's got to do is make sure he does not interrupt with the race itself. He should have made sure he was on. He should have dropped back and gone on the outside of Svensson. That's not exactly PC from the Japanese, but good to see him skiing so well. Schempp still in second for Germany, but interesting development in that Brendan Green has got right onto the heels of Schempp, and that is certainly going to upset the mindset of Schempp, who'll be thinking, am I going so slowly that the Canadians are keeping up with me? Is he going to be thinking, wow, if I miss a target, then I'm going to miss the silver, I'll be getting bronze? That is an interesting factor. Tyrrell Eckhoff suggesting yesterday that the King had been close to a heart attack watching the women's relay yesterday. Once again, she was up the stairs to have a chat with King Harold, who has enjoyed every single day of these championships.
Well, the women were ranked 10th, weren't they, coming into this event, and I think that's why the King shed a tear, but the men's team are ranked number 1. Will he shed a tear again today if they win?
It will be a different emotion. It certainly won't be quite the feel-good factor that we had around the Holmenkollen Stadium yesterday. I think it will be more of a sense of relief, Mike. This team are expected to win, and up until 2002, really, the Norwegians weren't good at the relay. Encouraging start for Svensson. 5 out of 5 would be just the ticket. Simon Schempp eyeing the Norwegian targets at the moment as he comes in, and his arrival does not put off the Norwegians. So Canada and Germany still fighting it out for the silver and bronze as Norway get away. 30 seconds the lead at the start of this leg. What will Svensson have after shoot number 7? Just 5 more targets remaining. That unusual sequence, central, left, centre left, then over to the right for Simon Schempp. 5 of 5, good shooting.
I think that was very wise from Schempp. He broke his normal routine, and that was to try and make it more accurate, but Canada's still there.
That is fantastic for Brendan Green. We were suggesting we wanted a minor nation on the podium. Canada could be that nation. Are they going to be the 6th team to claim a medal at these Biathlon World Championships? It's looking more and more likely, Mike, but just wait, because Austria and the Czech Republic, 2 very strong finishers. Landertinger, we know all about his pace over the last lap, and Mickey Schlesinger throws first one wide. He's been disappointed with the way things have gone, Mike, but he's on tremendous form.
He certainly is, and Brendan Green did have 40 seconds before this shoot, so quite a safe cushion. Did use 2 spare rounds, though.
So Austria into 4th. Landertinger doesn't seem to be in any hurry whatsoever. He was 25 seconds behind Canada at the start of the last lap, and we'll get another indication now.
I think Martin Fourcade, he's 2:19 behind. I think he's under team orders that the medal was no hope, and it looks like he's backed off the pace.
Saving himself for tomorrow and the mass start, the final day of these championships, certainly the highlight for many. 2 races in one day. Well, there's King Harold. He is sitting down today. I think he was exhausted yesterday.
Actually, of course, France were 2:05 at the handover, and Fourcade now 2:20 behind.
Have a look at the crowd. Well, nothing's gone wrong for Norway so far. Their shooting has been brilliant. Just 4 misses in all. They equal the best shooting score. Germany are with them, but they've outskied the Germans. And actually, on paper, we would have expected that, Michael, though the Norwegians, the only Norwegian really to be skiing better than usual is Ole Einar Bjorndalen, and he's done a tremendous job.
He's just been so safe, no panic. He kept within himself, had a very strong last lap. And what a quartet, the Norwegians. It's not over yet. The pressure moment coming up for Svensson in terms of the stand shoot.
Now, if Ole Einar was in your team, would you let him go?
I would encourage him. I would encourage him to really think about it, because you could not end on a greater high than this after the most amazing biathlon career ever. And I think I would let him decide, but I would possibly encourage him to hang his skis up.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Bjorndalen will be picking up relay medal number 14 and his 43rd World Championship medal today. Simon Schemp now 23.5, so he has clawed back 7 seconds so far on this leg. Brendan Green at 33 has stayed exactly the same distance behind Svensson of Norway, and Mike coming out of shooting 7. Brendan Green had taken his lead to over 40 seconds over the Austrians, so they're perilously close to that bronze medal, but we know what can happen on the final shoot. What's he got to do? If he gets all 5 down, do you think he'll be safe? If he can avoid the penalty loop, do you think we're going to see Canada on the podium?
Do you know, I think we are, and all of Canmore will be watching right now, and a lot of Canada will be watching right now. This is history for the Canadian team. This is quite an amazing journey for them. And Brendan, he just needs to try and keep things as normal, as if it's a training day. Easy to talk about, hard to do, but he will have prepared his mind for this moment coming up very soon, the final shoot.
And of course the tour, the World Cup tour over in Canada this year. We competed in Canmore, we went to America to Presque Isle. The Canadians did not make the journey from Canmore to Presque Isle, which was a shame, but now it seems that they did the right thing.
I think so. Reduce the travel, reduce the stress, stay at home, give them some time at home, and the preparation has been outstanding. The best ever relay for Canada so far, and let's hope it lasts.
Well, just to give you some idea of how good Canada's achievement is, we've got Germany with Simon Schemp, who's ranked 6th in the world, but he's only 6th because he's missed a lot of races. He's been ill twice this season. Otherwise, you feel that he would be where Schapulin is, and he would be the man chasing Martin Fourcade. And then we've got Emil Hegler Svensson, who's a former overall World Cup winner. He's lying in 8th this season. It's not been his best year, but he is one of the top 5 in the world, no doubt about it. And then we have Brendan Green, and Brendan Green at the moment is ranked 54 in the world, and he is holding his own with 2 of the greatest names. It would be the script writers, I think, would have had Brendan Green about 25 metres ahead of Norway at this stage, but that's not the way it is. But if Canada get a medal, it will be the story of these championships.
Quite amazing. France, on the other hand, at the moment, it's not good. 2:16 behind, and that's just under 2 minutes behind a medal.
Russia are still 1:51 behind, so nothing Anton Schapulin can do about the top 3 positions. USA ahead of Russia in 8th, and Sean Doherty on this final leg for them. But this is the moment that counts. 5 targets. This is where it all went wrong for Svensson in Sochi in 2014. He threw away a probable gold medal, in fact a very certain gold medal, with some poor shooting on the final stand. That's a better start than he had out in Sochi. Now he's on a roll. First miss That will set a few nerves jangling. 3 rounds to hit one target, and Germany settling alongside. If Simon Schempp can do a Simon Ada, then it's going to be interesting.
Schempp has missed one.
Down it goes. Schempp needs to be quick. He's got about 3 seconds to clear the last target. If it goes down, there is a chance for Germany. It's a slim one, and it's getting slimmer by the second. Schempp delays a fraction. That could be crucial. Canada now. Keep an eye on Brendan Green's targets. 3 out of 3. What nerve this man has. This is the hardest target of all. Down it goes.
Fantastic.
Best shoot. And Canada are on the podium. Sensational shooting from them.
Whoa, the biggest, best moment ever for Canada and the men's team and the men's relay team. That was dealing with pressure. And you know what? Will he be chasing the silver, not just content with the bronze?
Canada 13th in the last relay in Presque Isle. They've had a 6th, a 10th and 11th, but nothing that suggests they were going to take medals. Svensson looking tired at the top of the climb, and he's got a lot more climbing to go before he wraps up this relay. What is the margin? Some 50 metres between himself and Simon Schempp. It's not a lot.
He's looking absolutely exhausted. This is a flat section. He can get some recovery here, and then it's the big climb.
And the advantage in terms of the mass start tomorrow, swinging decidedly towards Martin Fourcade, because those involved in the medal chases in the relay will not recover.